Hey, fantastic! I'm live. How about that? Welcome, welcome. Come in, have a seat, make yourself comfortable. God, just before I clicked go live on the YouTube platform, I jammed my knee against a cabinet, part of my desk here. Ow! That hurt. Anyway, I hope everybody's doing well today. It's July. What the heck? This whole thing about time moving faster the older you get, it's real. Seems like we just put away the Christmas decorations, and here we are in 6 months. In 6 months, we'll be talking about taking them down again. Anyway, time. It's crazy. I hope everybody's doing well. Yes, it's July, just a few days before July 4th. So anybody have some big plans for the holiday weekend? It's, well, my wife is going to take a 4-day weekend. She's taking Monday off, and of course she has Friday off. And I don't get any paid holidays. Isn't that just one of the beautiful benefits of being self-employed? So if there's work, I will work. Whether I have paid work or not, I'll be working on, I don't know, maybe a video, or maybe I'll be working on a course that I'm creating for producing demos. And anyway, so I'll be working out in the yard if it's not too hot. It's been warm here in northern Oregon for the last few days. And today, granted, it's not as warm as many of you, so I'm not going to throw out a figure and then be ridiculed mercilessly. So anyway, a couple of things I wanted to bring up today while we're together. And that is, I was listening to I was watching something, and it was about a different type of business, and but it was similar. It's a creative business, and I thought, it's an excellent question, and that is, what's your why? Now, in this case, I'm talking about getting into voiceover. What's your why? Why do you want to get into this? What's the reason? And there are no wrong answers here. It's just a good thing to question. And because when I say there are no wrong answers, that's not to say that there aren't some naive answers, perhaps. For instance, for instance, when I got into this, my own personal story is that, I was starting to age out of my career in the trades. I was a plumbing contractor, and I'll tell you, crawling under houses and up in attics and using big drills to plow through, big sections of wood to run pipe through. Anyway, it was beating me up. My back hurt, my knees hurt, and all the crawling and all that stuff, it had lost its luster. Believe it or not. And I was approaching 50 years old. It was a few years out. I was going, I can't do this until I quote unquote retire, whatever that means. And I was a solo operator, just like now. I like being a one person show for the most part. I didn't want to have employees. So I did everything myself. So why did I get into voiceover? Well, I had always been involved with acting and performing previously, although I had let it go for a number of years to get my plumbing business up and running, and then I was busy. So when I was talking to a carpenter on our lunch break one day on a job site, he was telling me about what he was doing on the side, this thing called voiceover. You may have heard me tell this story before, so sorry if I'm repeating myself. And I was like, what? That's a job? You can make money doing that? And so he said, yeah. And so he was telling me a little bit about it. And, lo and behold, I had always been fascinated by voiceover, although I had never known that it was a thing that you could do for a living. I don't know why. I don't know why that part of the story is eluded me. So anyway, I got in I went into it. I started researching it. I started taking classes. And so why did I want to get into it? Well, because I had this history with it. I was fascinated as a kid with voiceovers, but I never knew that it was called voiceover. It was just the voices that came across on Saturday morning cartoons, Disney animated movies. I was even fascinated. I mean, this is how dorky I was. I was fascinated by the announcements at the airport or at a bus station or on Bay Area Rapid Transit, the BART train around the Bay Area. All these voices, they were, most of them were pre-recorded, but I didn't know they were just voices. When I went to Disneyland the first time when I was a kid, this is going back to 1972, I think. All the recorded voices, the park announcements, the ride narration, fascinating. Uh, it blew my mind. I mean, to be totally honest. And so I had history with voiceover. I loved it. And in my research, I learned that, yeah, you can make a full-time living doing this. So my whys were I was looking to get out of my current job because I was aging out. My body couldn't take it, and I was gonna have to find a different gig to sort of retire into, sort of, or run for as long as I could continue working. And I can do that in voiceover. As long as I can speak and I can hear and I can read read the script, then yeah, then I can keep working. So that was a positive thing. Can I make enough money to survive on? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's possible. And I love to act. So, what's not to love for me? Okay, so that was my why. And there are plenty of other whys. Some people, well, here's the cautionary point I want to get into. I was also watching something else, um, sort of it was a video by another voiceover person who also does coaching and things like that. There are a lot of us, and and they were throwing around big lofty numbers about the kind of money that that can be made in voiceover. However, they were, gosh, how do I say this? I want to be tactful here. They were throwing around big numbers like it was an everyday occurrence. Multi-million dollars. Boom, boom, boom. You're going to be a millionaire maybe after just a couple years. I that makes my quills stand on end. Is is it possible? Yes, it absolutely is. But it's not it's not it's not common. It's very uncommon, and it is not something that should be, in my opinion, if somebody's using like big money to attract them to their coaching program and sell you an expensive coaching program because for sure you will be making huge money and will be able to recoup your costs and blah 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 blah. To me, that's just a little, and it doesn't ring true to me. And in my experience, and with all my friends in voiceover, it's just a little. And I released a video, was it yesterday? Anyway, I was talking about scammers, and I'm not sure that this falls into the category of scamming, but I don't know, it's not far off because here's the problem. Although some people may go through this person's coaching program and do very well and maybe make millions of dollars, and that's great, fantastic, awesome. However, there will be way more people disappointed and frustrated and will drop out of voiceover because they were fed snake oil, you know? I mean, I don't like to bash other people and stuff. But to me, that's just not honest. It's not being honest. God, it's dark in here. Yeah, that's a little better. Now that I'm almost going to wrap up my video. Anyway, so I just another little bit of caution. If somebody's trying to lure you with the promises of big money to be made in voiceover, because honestly, on the whole, it's getting a little tougher to make big money in voiceover. You've got to be a hustler like no other. So just be wary. There's I still make a nice living in voiceover, and I'm not going to throw around numbers because that's not fair. What's a nice living to one person will not be nearly nice enough to float their boat for another person. You know, income requirements vary. So, that's not to say that you can't sit down and have a personal conversation with people like me about what to expect. But just be careful, okay? When considering people to study with and um, people to trust, make them earn your trust before you spend money on them. I guess that's ultimately my message. Make somebody earn your trust before giving them your money, okay? Anyway, that's it. So what's your why? Tell me in the comment section below. What's your why? Why do you wanna get into voiceover? How can I help you, if at all? Anyway, I'm not gonna go live again until next week. The usual Tuesday afternoon, 1:30 PM Pacific time. I'll be here next Tuesday. So have a happy 4th if you're in the United States. And enjoy the barbecues and the fireworks and all the other revelry. And I'll look forward to seeing you next week. I hope. And I'll probably release another video between now and then. So thanks for watching, and whatever else. Like and subscribe, all that stuff. Take care, everybody.